One day in late May, Thomas was on his way back to Farquhar with some empty milk tankers. Daisy was away at Crovan's Gates for routine maintenance, and Mavis was too busy with quarry shunting to cover the milk runs, so they were shared by Thomas, Percy and Toby instead. The NWR's number 1 had to wait for a signal at Tysdale, where he met Toby going down to the junction at Elsbridge. "Good morning, Thomas." "The same to you, Toby. I'm on my way back from Knapford, and it's a good day at Tesco, let me tell you." "Jolly good. My driver was hoping to pick up some camembert, salami and crackers for his wife today." "Speaking of camembert, what's the cheese situation?" "The Cheshire's under pressure, it's even on the Edam. I've lost the double Gloucester, and a cut meat lady's arrived." "A cut meat lady? You know, Patty the Pate." "It's a good thing meat paste isn't on the list. My wife hates that stuff." "He didn't mean a literal pate, you cockwumble." "How dare you speak to your own driver like that?" "Oh, it's just a bit of harmless banter, that's all." "Well, it certainly didn't sound that way to me." "In any case, I have a guaranteed connection with Rebecca's passenger train at Earlsbridge, so I'd best be off." Alright then, I suppose it's time I continued on to the top station. As much as Thomas liked running passenger services with Annie and Clarabelle, he didn't mind taking freight trains every now and then. Regardless of his preference, he still cruised along the line to Farquhar, admiring the scenery as he went. It wasn't long before he arrived at the top station. As Thomas simmered in the yard, he noticed Percy crawling down the line from Anofa Quarry, and the green saddle tank looked very burnt out. "Boy, am I glad to see you, Thomas. Would you mind helping me with these wagons? They're heavier than a McDonald's addict, and that's really saying something." "I'd certainly like to help, although I'm due to deliver another round of milk to Tidmouth Dairy soon. Tell you what, I'll ask the yard manager if we can combine our consists into one big and literal crazy train." "Funny you mention that song, because it's one of my driver's favourites. He also likes that duet Ozzy did with Lisa Ford." To say I disagree with your driver would be a massive understatement. But for the sake of my sanity, I won't tear my non-existent hair out over that horrendous waste of studio time. "Look, can you just get on with speaking to the yard manager already? I'm tired of struggling with these fucking wagons, and my driver won't be happy when he finds out what you said about that song." Percy and his crew were too exhausted to bother lashing out at Thomas for his dissenting opinion on Close My Eyes Forever. Instead of arguing, the NWR's number 6 waited for the yard manager to approve the mega train, and the tank engines soon left for the run down to Elsbridge. Boko, the Class 28, was waiting for them in the sidings. "Cheers, lads. A bit late, but nothing too serious." "Well, that's a relief." "Quick question, Boko. Why are you here to take over the stone train? We were expecting to see Henry." "This lot's headed for Elsbridge Harbour to strengthen the sea wall. Henry's still heavy for the sidings over there, so the Fat Controller took me off my usual passenger run at the last minute. I'm rather annoyed, to be honest. I would prefer it if he just upgraded the harbour sidings to take Henry's weight instead of screwing with my schedule." "Do you really think that he would spend all that time and money on rebuilding a small dock branch, just to take the weight of one large 460? "I suppose not, now that I think about it. And as Eric Idle once sang, always look on the bright side of life. And no, I'm not even going to try singing that song myself. I'm no Bon Scott or Elton John after all." "Eric Idle had a good point, Boko. At least you've still got work to do, instead of being dumped in the scrapyard like all your classmates. Not all of them, you ignorant sod. You've forgotten D5705 over at the East Lancashire Railway. As I was going to say, Boko, at least you weren't assigned to a work site with George the Steamroller for company. In which case, I'd try to do to him what Gordon did to the last wagon on Doc's train when it fouled the points. Good thinking, Boko. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get these milk tankers to the dairy as quickly as possible. And with that, Thomas shunted Percy over to another track before going back for the milk tankers. The green saddle tank was left to shunt the other wagons at Elsbridge, and as for the Class 28, he set off for the Little Harbour after coupling up to the stone train, and put on a good show for the foamers aboard Gordon's train as he left the yard. Meanwhile, Toby was arriving back at Farquhar station, having made a successful connection with Rebecca's train. The J70 was just about to depart for Anofa Quarry when Bertie the bus came rolling in. You don't look too happy, Bertie. What's on your mind? It's that blasted George again. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. What's he done this time? I got stuck behind the bastard on my way into Farquhar just now, and he was boasting more than usual, which is really saying something. Anyone would think he's succeeded in convincing workmen to pave over another crossing again, or maybe he was boasting about the roads to another locomotive earlier in the day. In any case, this fucking lard ass was creating loads of potholes and making the journey very uncomfortable for me and the passengers, not to mention my driver. Well, I don't see much point in asking George to at least consider changing his ways. It is what it is. But at least it's not too difficult to mend the road surface. I'll ask the Fat Controller if he can arrange a delivery of tar wagons later in the week. The other motorists and I would appreciate that very much. And if you don't mind me asking, how are you guys getting on with the milk runs? I swear I haven't seen Daisy at all recently. Thomas is managing just fine. I haven't had the chance to take it myself because I've been busy taking workmen and stone wagons to and from the quarry. Sounds like another typical day on the Farquhar branch. As for George, I wonder if he was just placed on Sodor as a spy for Bulgy or some other anti-rail nutcase. No, he was a spy placed on Sodor to look after sheep, and therefore was a shepherd spy. Did you come up with that joke? No, it was from a panel show my driver was watching last night. I think it was called Citation Needed. And whoever thought of that joke must have been very clever. In any case, I suppose I'd better leave you to get on with the rest of your work. Cheers, Bertie. It wasn't long before the J70 set off for the quarry, where Mavis was in need of help with another shunting turn. As for Bertie, he went off to refuel at the local petrol station. Later that night, after sorting out the quarry sidings, Toby returned light engine to Farquhar. He got there just in time to see Thomas arriving with a train consisting entirely of box vans. Good evening, Thomas. Did the trucks give you any trouble tonight? Surprisingly, no. This lot was all chatting amongst themselves, and ran very smoothly to boot. Jolly good. What was in those wagons anyway? Some products from the dairy factory in Tidmouth. They're due to be loaded onto lorries and taken to shops in the town tomorrow morning. And on our way up here, we even stopped at Mrs. Kindly's house so that my crew could deliver a small cheese platter to her front door. Something about her birthday coming soon, I think. That was very nice of them. As for Percy, I don't suppose you know what he's been up to? He said he was going to Knapford to help Salty at the docks, then collecting the vans for his mail run after the fact. Sounds like the same old scene again. Not that that's a bad thing, of course. No indeed. And in any case, I still wished Percy good luck for tonight's run. I would have done the same, given the chance. But regardless, I think it's high time we got some rest. After all, we've got another busy day ahead of us tomorrow. And so, after chatting away a little bit longer, Thomas and Toby settled down for a good night's sleep. They were both looking forward to another day's work on one of Sodor's most iconic branch lines,